Chapter 5. Popular Struggles and Movements. Democracy usually involves conflict of interests and viewpoints. These differences are often expressed in organized ways. Those who are in power are required to balance these conflicting demands and pressures. Popular struggles in Nepal and Bolivia. Movement for democracy in Nepal. Nepal witnessed an extraordinary popular movement in April 2006. The movement was aimed at restoring democracy. The king is the formal head of the state, but the real power is exercised by the elected representatives. King Birendra, who accepted the transition from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy, was killed in a massacre of the royal family in 2001. King Gyanendra, the new king of Nepal, was not prepared to accept democratic rule. In February 2005, he dismissed the then Prime Minister and dissolved the popularly elected parliament. So the movement of April 2006 aimed at regaining popular control over the government from the king. A seven-party alliance, SPA, was formed by all the major political parties in the parliament and called for a 4-day strike in the country's capital, Kathmandu. This protest soon became an indefinite strike, and Maoist insurgents and other organizations joined hands. The people stuck to their demands for the restoration of parliament, power to an all-party government, and a new constituent assembly. On 24th April 2006, the last day of the ultimatum, the king was forced to concede all the three demands. The SPA chose Girija Prasad Koirala as the new Prime Minister of the interim government. In 2008, the monarchy was abolished and Nepal became a federal democratic republic. In 2015, it adopted a new constitution. The struggle of the Nepali people is a source of inspiration to democrats all over the world. Next topic, Bolivia's water war. People's successful struggle against privatization of water in Bolivia reminds us that popular struggles are integral to the working of democracy. Bolivia is a poor country in Latin America. The World Bank pressurized the government to give up its control of municipal water supply. The government sold these rights for the city of Cochabamba to a multinational company, MNC. The company immediately increased the price of water by 4 times. This led to a spontaneous popular protest. In January 2000, a new alliance of labor, human rights, and community leaders organized a successful 4-day general strike in the city. The government agreed to negotiate and the strike was called off. Yet nothing happened. The police resorted to brutal repression when the agitation was started again in February. Another strike followed in April and the government imposed martial law. But the power of the people forced the officials of the MNC to flee the city and made the government concede to all the demands of the protesters. The contract with the MNC was cancelled and water supply was restored to the municipality at old rates. This came to be known as Bolivia's water war. Democracy and popular struggles. A few conclusions can be drawn from these examples. Democracy evolves through popular struggles. It is possible that some significant decisions may take place through consensus and may not involve any conflict at all. Defining moments of democracy usually involve conflict between those groups who have exercised power and those who aspire for a share in power. These moments come when the country is going through transition to democracy, expansion of democracy, or deepening of democracy. Democratic conflict is resolved through mass mobilization. Sometimes it is possible that the conflict is resolved by using the existing institutions like the parliament or the judiciary. But when there is a deep dispute, very often these institutions themselves get involved in the dispute. Then the resolution has to come from the outside, that is, from the people. These conflicts and mobilizations are based on new political organizations, and there is an element of spontaneity in all such historic moments. There can be many agencies of organized politics. These include political parties, pressure groups, and movement groups. Mobilization and organizations. The struggle in Nepal involved many organizations and political parties. All the major labor unions and their federations joined this movement. Many other organizations like the Organization of the Indigenous People, teachers, lawyers, and human rights groups extended support to the movement. The protest against water privatization in Bolivia was not led by any political party. It was led by an organization called FEDECOR. This organization comprised of local professionals, including engineers and environmentalists, and they were supported by a federation or a group of farmers on irrigation, the Confederation of Factory Workers, unions, middle-class students from the University of Cochabamba, and the city's growing population of homeless street children. The movement was supported by the Socialist Party. In 2006, this party came to power in Bolivia. So, in a democracy, several different kinds of organizations work behind any big struggle. These organizations play their role in two ways. Direct participation in competitive politics by creating parties, contesting elections, and forming governments. Indirect participation in competitive politics by forming interest or pressure groups which promote their interests or their viewpoints. Sometimes people decide to act together without forming organizations.